We often say time changes people, but what if time and circumstance both take everything from you? Your loved ones, your career, even your very existence. What do you do? Today's video, Cast Away, is about the incredible story of FedEx worker Chuck Noland, who was stranded on a deserted island in the Pacific Ocean for 4 years. How did he return from a place where it was almost impossible to return? Let's find out the full story. This film is based on a true story of Chuck Noland, who was stranded on an island and lived there for 4 years. So let's find out how he got stranded on that island, how he survived for 4 years, and how he finally got out of there. This is the story of Chuck, an employee of the FedEx courier company. He is very serious about his work and is determined to make sure that every courier, every package arrives on time. So he goes to different countries where he has branches, inspires the employees there, and teaches them the value of time. Chuck is in love with a girl named Kelly, and Kelly loves him very much. They have been in a relationship for a long time. They want to get married, but Chuck is so busy with his work that he has to travel both at home and abroad. Christmas is coming, but Chuck has to go to Malaysia because he has a very important job for the FedEx company there. But he says that no matter what, he will be back on New Year's Eve. Kelly asks, what about Christmas? But Chuck convinces, and Chuck sets off for Malaysia. While their plane is flying over the Pacific Ocean, a terrible storm hits and crashes the plane. Since it is a private FedEx plane, Chuck is sitting inside the plane, and the storm blows him away. He wakes up in the morning and finds himself on an island. He looks around, but there is no one around. In the hope of getting help, he writes the island. Night falls, and Chuck falls asleep. When Chuck wakes up, the letters he wrote on the island have been erased. Then, Chuck uses large pieces of wood to write help. He knows that people will definitely come to help him. Now, FedEx courier packages have arrived on the island with Chuck, but they do not contain any food. Since Chuck needs water and cannot drink seawater, he has only one way to get water: coconut water. He works hard to peel the raw coconut, but it is not easy to peel the shell and remove the outer shell. Now, Chuck has been here for 2 or 3 days, and he has no shoes on his feet. When he walks through the water, the stones in the water cause him a lot of pain and bleeding. Then, Chuck takes off his pants because he sees a very high peak above him. He decides to go to that peak and look around to see exactly where he is. When he reaches that peak, he sees a man in the sea, the pilot of the plane who died in the water. He quickly buries him, but before he buries him, he leaves his shoes and the flashlight he was carrying, because those are the only 2 things Chuck has that he can use. Chuck has been on this island for a long time. Chuck and he are alone, but little by little, he is learning to live on this island. He has learned how to collect the water that falls on the leaves at night and store it in a coconut. With that, he only has crabs, coconut water, and the water that collects on the leaves at night to eat. That's all he has to eat on this island. One night, he sees a ship in the sea. Seeing it, Chuck gets very excited. The next morning, Chuck decides to leave the beach with the airboat he used to come to the beach, because he knows that there is no one here and no one will come looking for him. When he wakes up with the airboat, he goes back to the beach because of the big waves in the sea. During this time, it rains one night. Chuck goes inside a cave and turns on a flashlight. He falls asleep with the flashlight on. The next day, he opens all the boxes one by one. Inside, he finds various things, but only 2 things are useful to him. He finds skating shoes with blades. He takes off the blades, and now he has a knife-like device. He sharpens a stick, and this time he tries to catch fish and crabs with it. He succeeds in catching fish, and now he needs fire. He tries hard to light the fire. Even the skin on his hands comes off, but Chuck doesn't succeed. He gets very discouraged. It seems to him that he might not be able to live much longer. Then one day, he tries one last time, and finally, he lights the fire, and for the first time since he came to this island, he finds happiness. Among the things that he brought back from the sea was a football, and Chuck's blood gets on that football. He carves an eye, a nose, and a shape like himself on it. And there is another thing that is bothering Chuck, and that is his toothache. He has been suffering from it for a long time, but he has always been reluctant to go to the doctor. He has to break this tooth at any cost, and with great difficulty, he breaks his tooth, and as soon as he breaks it, he loses consciousness. Slowly, time moves forward, and today, Chuck has been here for 4 years, and in those 4 years, he has been throwing a stick from a distance and catching a fish. That is, he hits the fish from a distance, because for 4 years, he has been doing this continuously. Now, Chuck is completely immersed in this environment. He is completely immersed in life here. One morning, Chuck was salting fish, and then he heard a sound, and he ran away. There was a steel plate, and seeing it, he had the idea that he could use it to get off the island. Actually, this island. That's why Chuck hasn't been able to get off the island for the past 4 years. Now, he cuts down large coconut trees and brings them to the shore and uses them to to build a raft. However, building a raft is not an easy task. He uses the steel plate he finds against the wind to propel the raft forward. Just as people in ancient times used sails to sail boats, Chuck also uses the same technique to build this raft. Now he has to face huge waves, but Chuck crosses them, and then he experiences many things. But there is still an endless ocean ahead. He doesn't know when he will find land or a ship to return home, but it won't be that easy. At sea, he has to deal with rain, storms, and everything. He catches fish for food and collects rainwater to drink. But then, something happens that completely breaks Chuck. His friend, Wilson, a football, falls into the water. By the time Chuck realizes, Wilson is far away, but Chuck tries to bring him back, but he can't. He is very hurt because Wilson is the person he has been talking to for the past 4 years, and Wilson was his best friend. It may seem strange why Chuck is so sad about losing a football, but to Chuck, Wilson is not a football. He is his friend in bad times, and that is the only reason why Chuck is deeply saddened by Wilson's departure. After a few days of traveling, when Chuck is completely exhausted and broken, a cargo ship passes by, and it is seen that Chuck has returned to his home, to his own place. But when he returns, he finds that everything has changed, because those who were his family members or friends thought that Chuck was dead, and he, going to his girlfriend, realizes that now their paths are different, that she is married. Callie gave Chuck a watch, which was with her on the island. He returns the watch to her because it is Callie's family property. Chuck says, "I'm so sorry." Callie says, "Me too." And before leaving, Callie kisses Chuck because she still loves him, but he can leave his family, and Chuck doesn't want Callie to leave her family and come with him. Callie, very sad that Chuck has gone, looks back at Gary. She feels like she has lost something. She runs after the car, calling Chuck's name. Chuck brings the car back and hugs her, but they think for a moment. Then Chuck says, "Callie, go home." Chuck drops her off at her house. Chuck is then shown sitting very sadly with his friend, and he should tell her that since I had to go back to Callie, I had to live, and that's why I was breathing. I might have gotten sick, but I only lived for Callie, and today, when I came back, I lost Callie, but it shows that they had a deep love, and they couldn't live without each other. But time and circumstances forced Callie to follow her own path, and she got married. Finally, it is shown that Chuck still has the parcel that he rescued from the island. When their ship washes up on shore, there are many parcels, and he still has one with angel wings painted on it. He comes to return the parcel, but no one is home, so he leaves it by the door and writes a note on it, which reads, "This parcel will save my life. Thank you, Chuck," he says, and leaves. Then he is shown looking at a map, confused about where to go. Then a girl comes up and says, "Maybe you're lost." Chuck says, "Really?" The girl asks, "Where are you going?" Chuck says, "That's what I was thinking." Then the girl and her truck have wings like the wings of the parcel. Chuck realizes that the girl is going in the same direction as the parcel he delivered. This is actually the same girl whose house Chuck just went to. At the beginning of the movie, this house was shown where Dick and Bettina were written. Chuck went to give it to her and saw that only Bettina was written there. This means that, like Chuck, lost his partner, and now they can only continue their lives alone. So, at the end, Chuck first looks at the 4 roads, and then looks in the direction he wants to go. Maybe they can start a new life together. If you like the movie, you can comment